Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start this meeting of the September 5th City Council meeting. As you may have noticed, our mayor is not able to be here tonight, so I'll be running this meeting. We'll start our meeting like we do every regular council meeting with our invocation by Chief Bandy and then by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman George. If you'd stand, please.
Will you pray with me? Our kind, most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you, first of all, just for your love. We thank you for letting us come to do your business this day, Lord. We pray for each and every member represented here, Lord. Again, we ask you to be with those that may not be able to be with us for whatever reason, whether sickness or illness, Lord. But again, we give you the glory, and we thank you for these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You can be seated. Connie, will you call roll, please?
Vice Mayor Love,
Here.
Councilman Carter,
Present.
Councilman Fan, Councilman Fennell,
Here.
Councilwoman George,
Here.
Councilman Hayes, and Councilman Juvance. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Connie. Next on is our approval of the minutes from August 15th, 2023 City Council's meeting.
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman George and a second by Councilman Hayes. Any additions or corrections? See none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is the public recognition on agenda-related items. Before we do that, I've had a request that we, if it's all right with council, that we move items 9 and 10 up past item number 3. Is that all right with everybody up here? Any problem
No.
with doing that?
We should vote of Plan Gallatin before because everything linked to that, so.
She said 1, 2, 3, 9, 10.
I don't understand.
You say,
I said after number 3, move
After
numbers
number
9 and 10 up.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is that all right with y'all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I'd also like to move that we defer number 6 as this is something that the mayor has had a lot of input on, and I feel like she should be here to discuss that, if that's all right with you all. I need a motion. I'm making a motion that we do that. Okay, so I'm moving that we defer item number 6, and seconded by Councilman Fan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I'm just I should have said, move that to the next city council meeting. All right, next up is public recognition on agenda-related items. This is a time that the public can come and speak on items that are on the agenda. Later on, at the end of the meeting, there's a time for public recognition on items that were not on the agenda. So let me just say that there is a public hearing for number 1 and number 2 that has to do with plan of services south of West Albert Gallatin and west of Scott Drive. So if you are wanting to speak on either of those two, you might want to wait and just do that during the public hearing for that particular item. But anyone else who wishes to speak on anything on the agenda, please come forward, and you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Make sure you give your name and your address when you get started.
Good evening, council members. You'll notice there are a few pictures up there of algae blooms and some information on healthy corridors for your information. Karen Bookout, 1006 Quailwood Cove. Tonight I'll be broadly discussing the Green Farm Annexation and Plan Gallatin. Springs and streams play a critical role in maintaining the quality and supply of our drinking water. ensuring a continual flow of water to surface waters and underground aquifers. The protected stream site salamander, as well as numerous fish and invertebrates, are found in the healthy intermittent streams, springs, and ponds on the Green Farm property. Streams that only flow for part of the year are unique, diverse habitats that can support thousands of species, including plants, fish, amphibians, birds, and mammals. These streams are important spawning and nursery habitats and seasonal feeding areas. The largemouth and striped bass that are so much fun to catch start their lives in these small streams. Dozens of species in Sumner County are already listed under the U.S. Endangered Species Act. Additionally, there is a high probability of protected and endangered plants not evident in the month of February at the time of the TDEC survey. In fact, TDEC reported finding rare wild watercress on the site indicating a perennial spring. The spring blue-eyed Mary, a federally and internationally protected flower, is likely present on this property. In the Goodlettsville area, less than 100 acres of this same protected flower caused the rerouting of I-65. Consider that for a moment. A protected flower rerouted a federal highway. Furthermore, development brings highly maintained lawns, increasing fertilizer runoff, potentially raising nitrogen levels in Old Hickory Lake and Old Hickory Reservoir, endangering marine plant life, boating, and those who live along their banks. Algae blooms, as pictured that I gave you to pass around, are a result of excess nutrients from fertilizer, wastewater, and stormwater runoff, coinciding with lots of sunlight, warm temperatures, and shallow, slow-flowing water. I can tell you from firsthand experience, living in Florida, algae blooms destroy entire boating seasons and tourism when affected waterways are closed due to the danger these blooms present. Algae blooms give off a noxious gas. Exposure to high levels of blue-green algae and their toxins simply by inhaling the gas can cause diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, skin, eye or throat irritation, and allergic reactions or breathing difficulties. I personally witnessed the slow death of a coral reef rich with tropical fish where I regularly snorkeled near my former home in Florida. In just a little over 10 years, that reef went from vibrant, bright, and full of tropical marine life to an ugly, barren gray, killed by releases of nitrogen-rich water from Lake Okeechobee into the ocean. This historic black cemetery on property adjacent to the Green Farm may include unmarked centuries-old burial sites on Green Farm property. Numerous burials within the known cemetery area are simply marked with a large stone. Sadly, slaves and freed slaves were not permitted to gather for funerals for fear of an uprising and could not read or write. They were left to their own devices to bury their dead and mark graves. A survey of the cemetery and surrounding areas should be done, and preservation efforts should be put in place. Although required by federal and state laws, historic black cemeteries are not afforded the same protections and maintenance of white cemeteries, such as the historic Gallatin Cemetery. Rather than annexation, the city of Gallatin should focus on transitioning South Water Avenue into a healthy corridor. According to the Urban Land Institute, the Healthy Corridors approach considers how the corridor contributes to the overall health of the surrounding community, including opportunities to be physically active. It also considers safety, affordable housing, transportation options, environmental sustainability, and social cohesion, as well as modifications that would link to the corridor and improve connections to jobs in other parts of the community. Gallatin has a viable option to create a thriving, engaging, and quaint downtown center, attracting small business owners and creating jobs. Unique shops and dining options in small towns are memorable and draw repeat visitors with disposable income. Imagine Southern Living magazine featuring Gallatin in its Best Small Towns issue. Cities intent on urban sprawl lose their identity, succeeding only in increased traffic, safety issues, rising crime levels, overcrowded schools, and loss of sense of community. The impersonal shopping experience in big box stores, destruction of environmentally sensitive and historical areas, fewer opportunities to enjoy the natural beauty of our area is not a sustainable long-range plan for Gallatin. City and county residents have spoken by electing those who want to protect our community identity. We will continue to raise our voices. And finally, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in." The same pertains to Gallatin and Sumner County. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nick Bruno, and I live on Nickel Circle. I thank you for the opportunity to express my opinion. I would like to reread something that I've read in a previous meeting. For a democracy to function, it is essential that a government respects the people and takes them seriously, not only those that have voted for that government, but all people. Furthermore, in order to exercise their democratic rights properly, people should be informed as fully as possible. That's the area that I would like to address. I know that we're talking about annexing the Green Farm and building X amount of homes, but I'm not sure that we've ever had anyone from the council or the council in general to stand up and address these wonderful citizens of Gallatin and give us an explanation as to why we want to move forward with this. My understanding, and I appreciated the response from one council person that said that the reason for the annexation was to be able to control the situation. It's my understanding, and I'd be corrected if I'm wrong, that if it stays in the county, the maximum homes that can be built is 1 house per acre. If it moves into the city, it's my understanding that there could be as many as 5 homes per acre, and also quite a few multi-level apartment buildings. I don't understand what there is to control about that, other than the fact that it would make the situation horrible. We've all addressed the fact that the traffic is atrocious. The corner of Nichols Lane and Lock 4 is very difficult to get through. If we put 1,000 homes back there, which is what I believe the city is calling for, it's going to be very difficult. One other note I would like to add, I've been in music all my life. I've done stage work, I've done studio work, and theater work. I often think, what would I do if I was a council person? And the thought came to me that if this deal came to me and I was a council person and we were building all these homes and we were going to include a 2,000-seat theater, music theater, and a world-class recording studio as part of the complex, I would probably be inclined to vote for it. And the reason I bring this up is because I know it's difficult for council people to make correct decisions on these things, but it's even more difficult if there's a personal interest involved. So I wish that you would bring that, keep that in mind, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno. Listen, we understand that y'all want to show support to each other, but we like to reserve applause during these meetings for when we are recognizing people for good works or whatever by the council. And one thing we don't like about applause is that it could lead to something disruptive, like people booing or laughing at people, or anything that might take away from the seriousness of their meetings. So if you all don't mind, please don't applaud or applaud. Just be respectful and let us listen quietly too. Thank you.
Evening. I'm Mary Simpson. I live at 1275 Lock 4 Road here in Gallatin. I'm a bit embarrassed and ashamed that I've been taking a back seat watching city council meetings online in the comfort of my home, letting my neighbors and the other interested citizens speak up on my behalf regarding the proposed annexation and high-density zoning of the Green Farm. I live on Lock 4 Road, and I strongly feel that this proposed development is not in the best interest of the city or the Lock 4 community. I do realize that tonight's vote is just for annexation. However, if the property is annexed, it probably won't be long before the rezoning request is also up for a vote. As a result, I feel that it's my responsibility to speak up and at least express my concerns. I'm very thankful that our city council has provided us all with an opportunity to speak, and I truly do appreciate the honor of being able to do so tonight. A development of this size will cost the city a lot of incidental costs: schools, roads, parks, drainage, libraries, sewer, water, trash, mail service, fire department, police department, medical care. My primary care physician retired her practice earlier this year. In my quest to find a new primary care physician, I called 10 to 11 new doctors, and none of them were accepting new patients. So that's just one example. We might hear that we already have schools and roads and parks, libraries, police, trash, mail. However, at some point, our existing resources become saturated. For example, yes, we already have a fire department, but at some point, we're going to exceed the capacity of what that department can do. They'll need a new fire station, 6 additional firemen, and 2 new fire engines. Just one example of incidental type cost. And then at this development, not to mention all the traffic, Lot 4 is a smaller 2-lane road with no shoulders or sidewalks. Adding another approximately 1,600 vehicles or so to Lot 4 would be an absolute nightmare. There have been times already that we've waited behind 18 to 20 cars at the 3-way stop on Hancock and Lot 4, and then sometimes a couple of light turns from Hancock to 109. So we also have a lot of truck traffic on Lot 4. For those of you who aren't that way very often, primarily the septic trucks going to the sewer plant, and also traffic to and from Lot 4 Park. Population of Gallatin has doubled since 2000, growing faster than 92% of other cities that were our size in 2000. We're now the 850th largest city in the U.S., which astounded me when I saw that. What has been done infrastructure-wise, though, to support this growth? Like, our house was built in 1975 in the city. We don't even have access to sanitary sewer. And to beat it all, when the wind blows just right, we're within smelling distance of the sewer plant. John Miller, another concerned citizen, shared a link to an interesting article by strongtowns.org that I have in turn shared with all of you via email regarding annexation. The article notes that some cities are de-annexing property from their cities. They've discovered that the long-term consequences of annexation are nearly always negative. The experts have equated the annexation to the equivalent of a sugar high by city leaders of many cities, only to discover the true cost of those annexations a few years later. Saying that the developer will pay all the costs and that the revenue will be a great tax gain for the city is pretty much like buying a new car. Not much maintenance is needed at the beginning, the first couple of years, but afterwards, that's when the costs start incurring. Memphis is one of the cities cited in that article as annexing property. They're doing this to make Memphis stronger and more prosperous. Memphis realized that they couldn't afford to provide the maintenance for all of their annexed property. Maybe we should take lessons from Memphis. And another concern is the developer. Using 5-star ratings, the BBB gives D.R. Hutton a 1.3 rating and Consumer Affairs gives them a 1.6 rating. I'm not sure that I would want that type of development in our city. We attended one of D.R. Hutton's public meetings early on about the project. We had an opportunity to view the artist renderings and the site maps and to ask questions. And we weren't overly impressed with the presentation in general. The development wasn't particularly pleasing to the eye, and the townhome areas didn't seem to provide adequate parking, which will result in a lot of street parking. We asked them about their traffic plan, and they proudly said, "We're proposing a turn lane for this development." And we said, "Is that your whole plan?" And evidently it was, so we were kind of disappointed in that. And why such high density? We understand that the property owner has a right to sell their property, but every single citizen I've heard express an opinion has been against this development. A development of nice homes and 1.5 to 1 acre lots would be a much better fit for the Lot 4 area. There are also concerns about an old cemetery and concerns about the wildlife found there. We, the citizens of Gallatin, have elected you as our city leaders and have entrusted you to do the business of the city on behalf of and for the benefit of the city and its citizens. If I were an elected city leader, I would want my legacy to be known as leaving the city in a better state of affairs than it was before I took office. So please consider your legacy, the incidental cost, and the other consequences that go along with annexation and vote no on the annexation of the Green Farm. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Howard. Matt?
Hi, good evening, Council. Matt Harris, 250 Albright Lane, and actually here tonight to speak on behalf of Music City Executive Airport Authority, where I'm honored to serve as the chairman, and speak briefly to what was item 4 on the agenda, the waiving of surety requirements for the midfield expansion project at the airport. And let you know that we appreciate your support with that and look forward to that project. The city's helping with that. It's going to help move that project along so we can get it into construction. And for those of you who don't know, it's going to create the opportunity to build 9 new corporate hangars at the airport that are desperately needed. The project's funded through the state of Tennessee already, And hopefully in the next 30 days, we'll be able to begin construction. And then secondly, just briefly speaking to support of the council, the airport authorities, very appreciative. For those of you that didn't get a chance to make it out, we over the weekend hosted a national STOL aircraft competition that I think we're going to find it was attended by well over 1,000 people. And the city really did a great job with the resources from sanitation to fire and EMS. And the folks who put that event on all over the country raved about the support of the city and the county, and asked if they could come back next year, and that it was the best airport that they had ever been to. So thank you for your support, and always glad to help.
Thank you, Matt.
I'm Elisa McDowell, 1031 East Nichols Circle, and I've been here before, and I thank you for the opportunity to address you again. In April, I read a list of residential projects that consisted of 2 single-space pages representing at least 47 residential projects. Since that time, and if I've read it correctly, there are a few to add to that. Aintree, 121-unit condominium, Blessings Estate, 34 single-family, Caldwell Place, 120 townhomes, Commons at Greenlee, non-disclosed number of residential units, Kensington Downs, 200 single-family homes and 86 townhomes, not the same as Kensington Row. Liberty Branch condos, 134 condos, Oxford Station Phase 4, 51 multifamily residential. And when I presented the totals for the original list, I want you to know that there was an audible gasp from the members of the council, because I don't think the council realizes how many residences we are putting in our city. So since that date, there are 1,213 residential units added to that list. The best I can tell, because not everything has a number. So we're looking at 1,916 townhomes, 3,961 single-family homes, 2,710 multifamily residences, 419 condos, 34 duplexes, 1,372 apartments, 306 unidentified residences to be added to the original Tompkins farm. It doesn't include 9 to 11 projects that don't have disclosed units, does not include multi-use proposed, which doesn't always include the number of residences, and it doesn't include the proposed projects in the annexation that we're talking about tonight. So since April, we've added 1,213 residential units to the project list. I want to address the infrastructure issues because they have been mentioned several times, and we've been told as a body that the developer is responsible for the hardscape infrastructure in the development. But if you want to experience what has and can happen, take a drive through Patterson Farms. They still have exposed construction height manhole covers. There's been no finished asphalt put in that neighborhood. And in the quarry, the same thing. And they've been occupied for multiple years. The hardscape interior redevelopment is not the only infrastructure affected, and to say otherwise insults the intelligence of the people that you represent. Roads, schools, electricity, water, sewer are just a few things that the city and county has to be ready to take on and maintain, not for 10 years, but for a lifetime. I want to remind you that if you annex that property, the Griffin Farm, there's a farm right next to it of more than 130 acres. It will be next on the list. So if you allow the annexation and think that you can maintain, control what's going to be built there, I ask you to think again, because if you vote yes for this annexation, voting no in the future will not matter, because what they want to put there will be there. And then right next door, there's another 130 acres that you can build another 900 homes on. So we're not just talking about 900 residences, we're talking about the potential of more than 2,000. Thank you.
Thank you.
Try this without glasses, but okay, my name is Lina Marler. I live at 1512 Cherokee Road. So good evening. We have so many passionate, great speakers that have been coming here on Tuesday nights to voice their concerns and their frustrations with this annexation, as well as the rampant growth in Sumner County, in Gallatin. I am so proud of everyone for being here and exercising their civic right to come and voice their concerns. This movement has grown from just a few people to now a full house every council meeting. To me, tonight is not just about annexation of the Green Farm, it's about people's concern about runaway growth in Gallatin. So many issues have been talked about. Of course, traffic is the issue that affects the most people, and if this passes, it'll affect all of Gallatin. The addition of 3,000 more cars a day on a finite amount of roadway is going to be an issue. To think that a roundabout and a turn lane and synchronized lights will solve these issues is nonsense. If the proposed 900 homes are approved, that adds an extra 2,000 to 3,000 vehicles a day. With an average vehicle being 15 feet long, if you put the cars end to end, that would be 6 to 9 miles of cars added every day to roads that were never meant to handle this kind of traffic. For perspective, you could line up these cars end to end from Panera Bread to Gallatin Marina, go to Audaddy's, turn left, go down Peach Valley, go all the way to 109, go back to Audaddy's, and then back to Panera Bread. That's the cars you'd have every day. So that's a lot of cars on those roads that are not meant to handle that. If this passes, it'll affect people's ability to enjoy boating and recreational areas. It'll be taking a beautiful area, and we'll just be turning it into another cookie-cutter development, all in the name of progress. So it'll be putting also, and I found this disturbing, potentially hundreds more students into an already overcrowded Gallatin High School. I did some research today. Gallatin, of course, I've said before, is at 98% core capacity and 130% in core gathering areas. I went on U.S. News 2023 and 24 rankings of high schools in Tennessee. When I pulled up Sumner County, I was astounded to see that Gallatin High School is 138th of high schools in the state, and it's dead last in Sumner County. It was not that way, I don't think, when I went there. No one's saying there isn't good parental involvement, and students that take AP classes, I'm sure can do well. But a ranking is a ranking, and we haven't always been last. So you add all this overcrowding into this and high density, and this takes me to another point. I keep hearing about this incessant need to build, 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 that it's inevitable our city's just going to keep growing at an incredible rate. However, this isn't always true. People have choices other than Gallatin. When I retired from real estate, I had worked for 20 years. People would come and they'd be looking at different areas to consider. They had lots of questions. They didn't just say, hey, yeah, you've got a house I can afford, I'm going to move to Gallatin. They came and looked around. They would ask about schools, they'd do the research on scores, they'd want to go and see the square, and they'd see what made our town different from others they were considering. They'd look at crime maps and make sure we're safe. They'd look at the whole picture, an overview, if you will. I saw it through their eyes. Almost every single time when I would take them to eat lunch on the square, you could see the reaction to some of the parts neglected then as it is now. That was not a big selling point. They would ask about the lake, and I'd take them out to the end of Lot 4. I'd show them the beautiful sweeping views. You know, I would love to think we have improved on the issues I just mentioned. However, I don't believe we have. Sure, we have some new restaurants and grocery stores, but we're losing what makes us truly special. Since I began selling real estate in 2003, Gallatin High School has gone to the bottom of a reputable national schools ranking. Southwater and other areas are still being neglected, and we're seeing more crime in our city. However, we do still have our recreational areas on the lake. We have a restaurant and a marina. Williamson County and Rutherford County don't have this. This sets us apart and makes us different. If this area is annexed tonight, we'll be losing this. The school will be so overcrowded, there's no doubt a new one will be built. You know who pays for this? We all do. At this building you're promoting might be all for nothing if you don't take care of what we have right now. We might end up as a bedroom community of Nashville with lots and lots of unsold homes and that have become rentals and apartments and a huge amount of traffic. None of us are saying we can stop all growth, but not all growth is good. And I close with saying that the people here tonight and the people that could not be here tonight as well, they elected you to take care of our town, our schools, our beautiful recreation, all that makes us special. They're watching what happens tonight. Everywhere I go, people ask me, what's happening on this vote? I have no way to know how many calls and emails you've had. However, after 7 months now coming to these meetings, I've not heard one person speak out in favor of this annexation. Yes, the Greens have every right to ask the city for this annexation, but in no way is it a right that it be approved, an automatic right. So please look at the big picture, the ramifications of approving this. Please vote no and leave it lower density and say what makes us a special place.
Thank you, Lina.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Love, council members, and staff. My name is Vicki Hendrick, 560 Peach Valley Road. Thank you for this opportunity to speak again. As a nurse for 30-plus years, I've almost seen everything. One thing I hate is death. I hear this said many times to loved ones, they are in a better place. I never say that. I'd much rather hear quality over quantity, of course. Just like our growth in Gallatin. Gallatin seems only about quantity, which is a problem for most all of our residents. I recently saw a post on Facebook about Gallatin's master development plan. There was a photo of apartment on top of apartment on top of apartment. A comment under the post read from a previous Gallatin resident, "The last time I was in Gallatin was December 2021. I told my wife I wanted to drive around and relive some childhood memories one more time. I once thought I might like to retire back to Gallatin where I grew up, but it sickened me so much I decided I would not come back." So sad. I passed around a few photos just for you to see of just two friends that I've talked to with concerns. One, a friend from church whose mother has Alzheimer's and father recent stroke. Her happy place is the last access. Will she still feel that way about the last access if we have all this changes and growth in our area? I'm worried about my happy place too. Another longtime friend that lives on Harris Drive sent me two photos last week. One is his mailbox that's destroyed, and the second one is a 25-mile-per-hour road sign laying in a yard. He realizes it's not a private road, but really tired of all the speeding traffic trying to avoid Lot 4 backup at Hancock three-way stop. I worry about the same thing. Yesterday, I was reading another Facebook post from News Channel 5, Nick Barris. It was a notice to Spring Hill residents telling them to conserve water due to unforeseen mechanical issues. Residents were very unhappy. Complaints ranged from overgrowth and infrastructure issues, calling the city leaders incompetent. I also hate what is happening to our small town. Many neighbors are very concerned about the proposed greenway that will be running from Nichols Lane to Lock 4's last access. These concerns are from loss of land, closeness to the roads of the homes, and who will be walking and riding in front of their homes. We will have strangers observing valuables outside the homes and possibly waiting to break into your home while you're gone, or break in on a woman or child left home alone. Some homes sit very close to the road, including our farmhouse at 1145 Lock 4 Road. I read reviews of Town Creek Greenway, and several were negative, ranging from motorcycles on the greenway, broken glass, old food, trash, busy roads with exhaust fumes, and people worried about walking their pets across broken glass. All of these things I'm talking about tonight aren't just for myself and my area. I truly am listening to the concerns of everyone that are Gallatin residents, friends, family, and many others. As a whole, we're all worried about the growth. Traffic, property, damage, and our neighborhoods, especially traffic coming out my way. Our 60-acre farm, which I've mentioned before, has been in the Butler family for 73 years. The green farm's southern edge backs up to our farm. We have enjoyed cattle, wildlife, the beauty and the smell of fresh-cut hay, and wide open spaces for many years. I truly think it's going to be an eyesore for us and many others that have touching land. I hear this many times. We don't agree with high density, but can you guarantee that we won't have high density? I feel like a floodgate's going to open. I always hear there are no guarantees in life. I also hear about the donut hole. We are not the donut around the hole. I don't want my quaint hometown to turn into a giant home city. We are already dealing with water issues and last December electrical blackouts. What is to come? Do we all not matter? Please vote no annexation. Keep our rural character and hometown feel. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples. Mother Teresa, thank you. I do have the printouts from, if you want them, from Spring Hill and their complaints, and also the remarks about the green space, greenway out around Town Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Gary Pryor, 1063 Lakeshore Drive. I am a native of Gallatin, and I used to be proud of that, but I scarcely recognize our city anymore. It's changed so much, and not so much for the better. City's leaders are allowing growth at any cost mentality, trying to turn us into another Nashville. It's destroying our quality of life. This project at Lock 4 in Peach Valley, if approved, will you look on it in future years with pride or with shame? Vote no and help preserve our city's character. Thank you.
Mr. Pryor.
Hi, my name is Denise Victor. I live at 344 Peach Valley Road. I'm here with my youngest of 3 sons, and this is our first time we've attended a city hall meeting, but we have been watching online, so thank you for putting it online. I wrote the council members earlier expressing my opposition to the annexation, but I wanted everyone to have a name and a face together. And again, just wanted to thank you for your consideration to vote no.
Thank you, Ms. Victor.
Hello, my name is Nathan Sean Victor, and I live on Peach Valley. I am only 14 years old and don't know much about politics or the government, but what I do know is that I love this city. Gallatin is a beautiful place, as I would know because I've spent almost my entire life living and growing up in it. I love to wake up, go outside and look into the fields or explore the woods, play in a creek, and look at my neighbor's sheep and cows. This is why it's heartbreaking to me that all of this could soon get torn down due to new developments in housing. A gorgeous environment and ecosystem destroyed by avarice. Not only that, but it takes even longer each year to get home from school as more people move in and crowd the streets along Nashville Pike. It's been gradually getting worse every year since there has been no improvement to our roads and more houses being built. Imagine what all of these houses being put up so suddenly are going to do to worsen this. Although you may just shrug me off and not take me into consideration due to my adolescence, please remember that your duty as council members of our city is to make decisions that improve and better the Gallatin community. Thank you.
Now, please be respectful. You have been doing so good at that. Thank you, Nathan.
Hi, my name's Carolyn Mancuso-Seagraff, and I'm at 1066 Lakeshore Drive. And I would just like to start with saying that I don't begrudge the Green family for wanting to sell their farm. I also respect Councilwoman George for doing her duty to bring this request to the council. If circumstances were different, I would expect my council person to support me too. So I understand the whole process. I'd also, I'm sorry that Mayor Brown's not here because I wanted to thank her for taking up for citizens who attend the meetings but maybe leave early. It doesn't mean we're not interested in everything that's going on in the city. It just means that we've covered the area that we feel needs to be covered, and everything else we trust you to manage well. And personally, I've been watching these meetings for years on my computer, so I'm very comfortable with the meetings. I've just recently started attending them. So I think we've all agreed and discussed the fact that there's major growth and development. In the last 2 years, we've seen a 16% population increase. And as mentioned, I didn't realize there were as many units, but I was aware before there were like 1,900 units already approved through the city, and that the average occupancy is 2.47 people, so 2.5. So you're looking at the current rebuilding and developments that have been approved that are in the process of over 4,000 people, additional people in the city, not including anything that's coming up, in the future. This is just what we've done right now. So, and we're aware that this is a drain on our city, on our resources, on our public works, infrastructure, schools, fire department, emergency medical, resource authority, road cleaning, flood control. All these things are being overwhelmed with this rapid growth. We're also seeing massive zoning changes. So if you look at a topographical picture of Gallatin, you'll see the existing neighborhoods with houses and they're spread out. And then all of a sudden you look at all the new building and then look at the zoning, and you see all these high-density buildings just right on the verge or right in the middle of some of these neighborhoods. I'm not sure why we're not at least maintaining the zoning that we have and maintaining the quality or integrity of these neighborhoods. So I'm seeing, at this point, well, a good example, let me give you a good example. I think talking about the developers being responsible for the infrastructure, Duncan Road, for example, that poor little road, they had connected it to Publix, which was great. I mean, it's a thoroughway now, but no one's enlarged the road. There's no sidewalks. I have family that live on Malvin. They can't walk to Publix because it's a danger. So even though, and if you go all the way down, you'll realize that with all those apartments and everything, the road is full of cars already. So I don't think we can trust developers to really be in our best interests. It's just kind of a word of caution. I think the issue here is not just annexation or the sale of the property. I think it's more than that. I think the city council can help us. You can give the residents confidence in your concern and commitment for the well-being of the area. So annexation is not zoning. Okay, so in the development of the part of this process is it has not gone through city planning or zoning and hasn't been established. We have a vision of many more meetings. I anticipate the next step will be zoning, and then we'll start all over again, having to struggle and fight to get an understanding of what's going to happen, who's going to develop it, and what they're going to do. I understand that the city council can actually do what's called a condition of approval on any developments, which means that city council and our planning can set up that it will be zoned in low density, that any development would have to maintain the salamander habitat, the wildlife area, establish wetlands, flood zones, and preserve the areas around the grave site. So I think that would be a win-win for everyone if you were able to annex, but also maintain, do the one house per acre, put 200 houses out there instead of 800 or 1,000, and be able to maintain that zoning and that appearance and that integrity of those neighborhoods throughout that area, and which any other purchases that you're going to do. It would also reflect that. So also I believe that if you're willing to make that kind of commitment to the residents of this district and beyond, that the issue of annexation will be much easier for us to understand and accept. Guarantee the residents of this district you'll maintain the integrity and character of this area. Right now, we're looking at one decisive move that can change our whole area, where once it's gone, then the fields, it's congested with housing, and it's gone forever. If the city council votes to proceed with annexation against the wish of the majority of its residents at the district in which it's being affected, without conditions of approval, then it will reflect the council controlling the citizens and taking away our voice as citizens. 7 people are going to make a decision of hundreds of long-term residents who live around this district. Are we really doing what's best for the city, or isn't the city doing what's best for us? I would support not annexation and/or control of approval, rather. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlie Bullitt, and I live at 626 Ziegler's Fort Road in Gallatin, Tennessee. Let me first thank you all for letting me speak here tonight regarding the requested annexations. I'm speaking specifically on items 3, 9, and 10. Second, let me apologize to the council for not coming forward with this information sooner, although it was my intent to do so. I say that because on March 27, 2023, I submitted a public records request to the Gallatin Police Department asking for information regarding the position, staffing, et cetera, within the Gallatin Police Department. Things like how many officers they have, how many officers they're supposed to have. On March 31st, 2023, I received a denial confirmation pertaining to that request from the Gallatin Police Department. Within that single request, I listed 27 items that I wish to have information back on because of the annexations and the growth the city is going through. On April 27, 2023, I submitted 10 public records requests to City Hall pertaining to the Gallatin Police Department. With that, I requested the following information. How many certified officers is the Gallatin Police Department fitted to employ? How many certified officer positions are filled and how many are empty? How many officers are supposed to be on shift and how many are actually on shift? How many certified officers are assigned to patrol? How many certified police officers are assigned to CID? How many officers are in training and in what stages of training are they in? Within the last 10 years, how many officers have left the Gallatin Police Department? How much does it cost to train a non-certified officer? What is the current ranking system in place and how many supervisors are on each shift? Within the last 10 years, how many officers have been hired by the Gallatin Police Department. On May 3rd, I received a denial confirmation pertaining to the request from the Gallatin Police Department citing TCA 107503, subsection A2B4, which means to sort, compile, and create documents. Basically says that if they don't have a document already in form, that they don't have to create that document. On July 19th, I submitted another public records request to City Hall pertaining to the Gallatin Police Department requesting the following information. A picture posted by the Gallatin Police Department on May 23rd, in May of 2023. This picture appeared to be of a white dry erase board. This dry erase board appeared to show 4 separate squads, okay? Which, through my 9 years of experience at the Gallatin Police Department, is consistent with the shifts on patrol. They have A squad, B squad, C squad, and D squad. Additionally, there appears to be names and blank spaces written under each shift or squad. I've seen this board many times through my employment there. I know what it is. It was a way for command staff to keep track of how many officers are on patrol and how many vacancies they have on patrol. On July 25th, 2023, I received another denial confirmation saying the document doesn't exist. On July 31st, I submitted a public records request, this time to Finance and Human Resources, requesting records pertaining to names of current employees with title for the Gallatin Police Department. Additionally, a list of names from the start of 2018 through the date of the submitted request, with the start and end date of employment for those employees. Looking through the records I received on August 22nd, 2023, I found there are currently 53 officers assigned to patrol. This includes Parks Division, K-9 Division supervisors, such as sergeants and lieutenants. If you remove Parks K-9 supervisors, there are 40 officers on patrol assigned to 4 different shifts for a city of 50,000 people approximate. There are a total of 65 sworn officers, commissioned officers, 65 sworn commissioned officers within the Gallatin Police Department. I'd like to tell you how many they're supposed to have, but that document doesn't exist. However, I believe, to the best of my memory, there are around 93 or so positions they're supposed to have, sworn officers. I can see now why the Gallatin Police Department doesn't keep or allow anyone to see these records, because since 2020, the Gallatin Police Department has lost a total of 36 officers, with 2 more that I know of, which are going to work for other departments. Since 2010, the Gallatin Police Department has lost a total of 61 total staff. I tell you all this so that you can know that the annexation request and growth the city is going is too much. The ratio of officers to civilians by FBI standards is approximately 2.4 officers per 1,000 citizens. That means we have around about 120 officers, certified officers, not staffing positions like secretaries, administrative assistants, things of that nature. Okay, we don't have that now. We have half of that. Okay, and I know that some may say that the climate in law enforcement now tends to drive people away and it makes it hard to retain officers. However, I don't think that that's the case in our community. I believe our community supports law enforcement. I believe you go to some more major metropolitan areas such as Chicago or other places, I don't think that's the case here. I think that if you look back at who all is left and where they've gone after employment here, you'll find there's more that have gone to other departments rather than stay here in Gallatin. And I don't know why that is. I'm just saying it's what I think it would show. Lastly, the Plain Gallatin part, I'm sorry, almost 1 second. Plain Gallatin, 117 positions, staff positions. This is not correct. It's not even close. It's about half that, like I said, we have. Our sworn officers, we said about 120. We're not close to that. So for the safety of the citizens and the officers, please stop annexations for a little while. Thank you much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hello, my name is Tamara Searcy. I live at 613 Peach Valley Road. I just want to say some of the comments I know the mayor took up and that were made last time kind of hurt my feelings. I love Gallatin. I've lived here for over 52 years. A lot of those 52 years I haven't came to these meetings because truthfully, I didn't know that I was allowed to come. I didn't know if I spoke, if I would be listened to. I didn't know. So I'm here speaking on this. Am I being selfish because it's in my back door? Probably. But in the time I've lived at my home, my husband bought this house over 20 years ago. We have a lot of flooding in our yard. Our buildings have to be up off the ground. My neighbor had a fence. His fence got washed away because of the floodwaters. when it was brought to their attention, they were told that those houses were not supposed to be built on any property less than 5 acres because of the flooding, because of the underground streams there. Do I still love my home? Yes, I do, because of the beauty there, the wildlife. Is it very congested? Yes. The culvert in my front yard is 2 different kinds of stone because there's so much traffic. It's been hit so many times, I couldn't match the brick. My mailbox has been knocked down. I can't even imagine how many times I will have to replace it if you put that many more cars going down Peach Valley Road. And I have been to other meetings where I've heard y'all talk about subdivisions needed to be so much brick, so much wooding, so much siding, all those type of things that you look at. I just wish you would look and see as why can't the area, all the people that live in the Peach Valley area, Lot 4, all those, they're in that area because they love the beauty of large yards, the wildlife, the deer, the turkeys, everything that comes with it, the trees, the quietness. You feel like you're in the country, but you're close to the city, and we love that about that area. But if you annex this in and it becomes so congested, that's going to take the beauty of that area away. And I want Gallatin to remain beautiful. We're losing more and more greenery. I done forgot what I wanted to say. I just wish you would take into consideration of that. And hopefully, even if it comes through, just please take into consideration the low density and that everybody there, that's why they moved there, is because of the large yards and the wildlife and all that type of things. And I do work in Lebanon, but I live in Gallatin. And getting to my road, I'm already have to go in a busy part of time. I have to go down to Nichols Lane or whatever to even get to my road because we have that light there, but then it's timed, it stops the traffic. You cannot make a left-hand turn there, hardly ever. You have to go during the rush hour. You have to go all the way down, so that's gonna put even more traffic going down Nichols Lane and those type areas to get to the homes that are supposed to access through Peach Valley, because you can't turn there. It's just really dangerous. They run that light constantly. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Searcy.
Good evening. My name is Bryant Milligan. I live at 422 Nichols Circle West. I am a lifelong resident of Sumner County and Gallatin. Grew up in Shackle Island. Like I said, I've lived here all my life. I can trace my ancestry back to the original settlers that came to this area. I'm sorry, I wished I probably had written notes. I want to speak from my heart tonight. I'm hoping that you folks will vote no on this annexation on Peach Valley. I understand, being 64 years old, that change is inevitable. But change without a plan is bad change. That's growth that's unrestricted, without a plan, without any type of, it's just rampant. It's runaway. Our city is strained to the point that the roads are in terrible shape. We've all heard about the water issues, and nothing's being done to correct that. No, but we can build a whole lot more houses and bring a whole lot more people into this city. But I just, like I said, I think the quality of life in the time that I've spent on this earth is deteriorated more and more every year, just for the fact of the growth, the influx of people, and there's no plan and how to handle those people. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you folks tonight. I hope that something that is said here will weigh on your mind and you'll vote no, although I do highly believe that the votes are already in and you guys have already made up your mind. But if you listen to nothing else, the young man who is only 14 years old, if you listen to no one else tonight, he is the future, and the people that of his age is the future of this county, of this city. And those are the folks that you need to be aware of and be planning for and not jeopardizing their future just for the wanton growth and greed that comes along with it. So prove me wrong and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milliken. Could I ask that there not be people talking in the background? It's kind of distracting, and we want to be able to hear what everybody's saying.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Rucker. I reside at 474 Peach Valley Road. I also have property at 470 Peach Valley Road. I just want to recap on what I had previously said. I think this is my fourth time talking. And my concerns is I hadn't done a whole lot of studies on going online and seeing what this say about traffic and buildings. But I am from Peach Valley. As I said previously, my mother was raised in Peach Valley. My grandmother was raised in Peach Valley. My sister back there was raised in Peach Valley. So what concerns me is our church out there. We have a church. We also have a cemetery. I've been told at this meeting that the cemetery would not be bothered, but I mean, how do I really know that? You know, my uncle is buried in that cemetery. He's a World War II veteran, and he's buried there. My great-grandmother is buried there. Most of those people that's buried in the cemetery are kin to me. And Peach Valley is quiet. We're concerned about the traffic. They're going up and down the road, the speeders. And I had spoke about the police not patrolling the area, and Officer Bandy, thank you for coming out there, because I know you put them out there. So that also, you know, it's just, you know, it's our heritage. It's my mama's heritage, my sister's heritage. You know, that's where we come from. We just didn't come in and build a house. We was there when it was nothing. No lights on the road, dirt on the road. They had to walk to school. My mom has told me all of this, and once again, she is 95, and she has told me the whole history of Peach Valley. And we would like to keep Peach Valley just quiet. We don't need a lot of houses and stores. We're just happy. We're country people. We're just happy out there. So if you would please take this into consideration, please vote no. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rucker.
Hi, my name is David Klein, and I live at 398 Branham Mill Road in Gallatin. I'd like to thank you all for allowing us to speak again. It's not my first time on this issue, and it won't be the last. And I would like to thank all the citizens who have come out here to let their opinions be heard. It's the way our government was designed to work. As you know, this is not my first time I've spoken to this project, and I'm sure it won't be the last. I realize the subject is annexation. I wouldn't have such a problem with the annexation if it wasn't tied to a master plan of 876 residential units on 295 acres of land, with densities ranging from 3 to 6.5 units per acre. In a neighborhood which, with a few exceptions, has a density of 1 house per half acre up to 5 acres per house and more. That's not a consistent thing. The question I'd like to hear answered at some point tonight is, why are we doing this? Why has this city got a plan to double its physical size from roughly 36 square miles to 64 by 2035 with the Plan Gallatin? I've heard it said in these very chambers that we need to increase the population to bring businesses. Sumner County has a population of over 200,000 citizens currently. On any workday, we send 50,000 workers outside the county for employment. Think of that for a minute. 1/4 of our entire population leaves the county every day because there aren't enough jobs here. I don't think we need more people. We need more jobs. We need more businesses. Clearly, we have enough people here. According to the 2020 U.S. Census records, the city of Gallatin has about 45,000 citizens. That's up from 2010 when it was 30,000. That's up 50% in about 10 years. And it's double what it was in the year 2000, as someone spoke earlier. It was about 23,000 then. Meanwhile, our traffic problems continue to get worse. Crime is increasing at a faster rate than the population is growing. And the schools most immediate to the city of Gallatin are near or at capacity, with no plans, and I've checked this, for the school district to build any new schools because the county simply can't afford it. And we are the responsible party to build those schools, the county. I've also heard it said in these chambers that Gallatin's infrastructure is in great shape. I strongly disagree. The traffic on any given day is congested at best. How could it not be? In the 25 years I've lived here, we've doubled our population with almost no change to our arterial system. The dead end of Lock 4 Road, that's the dead end all the way up to Peach Valley, has roughly 300 residences that have only one way to get to Gallatin. This particular project being considered with 876 residential units planned will quadruple the load at that intersection. I realize some will use Peach Valley to avoid the congestion, but the vast majority will use Lock 4. What is the plan for Lock 4? I've seen the concept plan for Bryan Drive that will give access directly to Nichols Lane, but that's another 194 units to deal with. At what point is Nichols then overwhelmed by the traffic load? It's only a 2-lane road as well. You know, it's painful for me to watch towns like Gallatin and counties like Sunburn make the same mistakes that other areas that grew too quickly make. I would think we would take a lesson from places like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, and now Nashville. Surely we are smart enough to do a study of the histories of these locations, but maybe we're destined to follow in their footsteps. It's why I ran for county commission. I'm working hard there on the planning commission to make some changes that will relieve this pressure. I'll make myself available to this body here to convey my experiences as a citizen for 40 years and a builder for 20 years in Southern California. I have a lot of experience at this, and I'd love to help. I've heard a rhetorical question asked here by a member of the City Council of how can we stop the growth? You have a lot of options. You have zoning regulations. You have the ability to call a moratorium. Not unlike Bethpage when their citizens couldn't get water. We currently have a school crisis here with no quick solutions. Where are the 1,000 or so students who will live in this project go to school? Finally, unlike the county, you have the legal right to implement impact fees and make the growth pay for the growth it creates. In the meantime, I will leave you with this. I'm not anti-growth. I want that to be fully understood. The developer is not the enemy. He is simply providing the citizen with a necessity. The control here ultimately lies with you. The representatives
Time
of
is up, Mr. Klein. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Laura Bagert. I live at 424 A.B. Wade Road in Portland, and I do appreciate you letting all of us speak on these topics. Not everybody, every legislative body allows that. And I'm here tonight not because I have a right to be or anything else, because I don't live in this city, but it does affect all of us, and I'm here for them. Because the majority of these people here, if any of you would ask them to raise their hands, they're against this annexation. But the minority of them get up here. You know why? Because it's just as uncomfortable for them to get up here as it is for you to sit here and listen to it. But the reason that they do it and the reason that they're here is because maybe with the exception of one of you, none of you ran on this outrageous growth that's going on. And couple of you ran on growing business so people could have better paying jobs and stay here instead of driving out of the county, as the previous speaker said. Some of you ran on listening to the people. One ran on against all this growth. And the reason the people are here is because they trust you. You live in their community, they live in your community. and they trust you to do what's right and to truly represent them. At every level of government, what we have seen is that the people are no longer represented, that the people in elected bodies know more than the people. All these people up here are telling you they don't want it, and they still have faith that there's one elected body out here that will find it in their hearts and know that in front of the Lord, they're going to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
My name is Mary Janung. I live at 1100 Lock 4 Road, and I'm a citizen of Gallatin. And I've been up here multiple times, and I've expressed a lot of issues and concerns I have about this development, not only this development, but when you add the Kirkpatrick Farm and then you add the other developments to the Nichols Lane area, it's going to be quite a monster. Recently, I was coming back from Florida because of the hurricane, and I noticed a billboard on my way back, and it said Intel. Know your Intel before you buy real estate. And I thought, well, that's an interesting slogan. It got my attention. And I thought, well, maybe we need to know our Intel before we annex. So I started researching, and I thought, who is it that's going to benefit? So as I had a lot of time while I was evacuated for the hurricane, I found some information about the current developer that's up for this development, D.R. Horton. And one of the things that I found out was, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but BlackRock and Vanguard, State Street, all these big entities have a large amount of shares in D.R. Horton. And why is that important to know? The reason it's important to know is because they're about profit. And their job and their goal is for the developers that they invest in, like any business would, is to build homes. And I don't know if you realize it, but they are buying up a huge amount of homes in the country. And what are they doing with those homes? They're investing and they're putting their money in them so that they buy because they have deep pockets. And then they get people to buy those homes, but many of them can't afford them. And so they end up renting them, and the people at the lower level cannot afford them. You have the people in the middle who can't even try to get a home because it's so expensive. And then you have the millionaires who are moving in who have cash who don't care. So I ask you not to vote to annex. If anything, you know, one home per acre, but a $30 million project for them, unless they have really deep pockets, they're not going to build 200 homes out there. That's not going to be profitable. BlackRock is very clear about its goals. That's what they're in the business of, investing and making money. And corporations have, for many of you, great resources. And they can afford, their teams are large and sophisticated other than a single real estate agent. So what they do is they kind of hurt the real estate people. I'm not a real estate agent, but I've heard people say that. They gain a lot of control over the market, and they turn the homes into rentals. And there are a lot of rentals out here. I know that because I've walked the area, I've talked to people, I've knocked on doors, and there are a lot of rentals. I have rental property, but I rent in a different area to people. I take care of people. That's my goal. So I ask you not to annex. I want you to know your intel. Know your intel about what you're annexing. Because it's not just, all of these people in this room have brought issues to you, and they have brought heartfelt, just ideas and concerns over and over and over again, and I'm myself included. I'm not going to be selfish about it. I know that the green people or the family that owns the farm has a right to sell and make money. I can sell my home, I can leave. Some people have said, well, just leave. Well, I don't want to leave. You know, I love my home, I love Gallatin, I love where I live, I love the people that I know. And so I just want you to hear hear what they're saying. And it's not just them, it's all the other people that are not here. Some, like I said before, a lot of them can't be here. They have kids, they have jobs, and they don't have the freedom to come up here and sit in this meeting and say what they have to say. And some people are bashful. They don't want to come up and talk. But please vote no and consider the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Janelle. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight under public comment on agenda-related items? Okay, seeing no one, I'll declare public comment on agenda-related items closed. And it is time now for mayor's comments. I've been told that there may be some scouts in the audience tonight from Troop 407 and 4007. And if they are, we welcome them. They're earning a citizenship in the community merit badge. And one of the requirements was to be at a public meeting like this. As Matt Harris said earlier, we also wanted to recognize the success of the National Stole event last weekend and thank Chad Hall and his family and the committee for bringing this to Gallatin. We hope everybody associated with that event enjoyed being in Gallatin, and hopefully you'll be back. Thanks to our Public Works people for taking care of the trash and for all the vendors and the people who attended. I think it was a success. And I'd also like to recognize our friend, Bishop A. Michael Clark, who was honored last Saturday with a proclamation declaring it as Bishop A. Michael Clark Day. So congratulations to him. And there was also a very well-attended and successful opening of the Union High School museum that same day. The museum is located in what is now the Shalom Zone and pays tribute to the many citizens who attended Union High School before its doors closed in 1970. So those were two really great events. Let's see, on the 6th, there is let's see, what is today, the 5th? Tomorrow, there's a Coffee and Connect with Clay Haynes at the Stomping Grounds at 8 a.m. The next item is on the 8th, which is Bill McCord's birthday. So we'll say happy birthday to him. On Saturday, there's the fly-in breakfast at the Music City Executive Airport, which is from 8 until 10 in the morning. The market day will be at Gallatin Farmers Market on Saturday from 9 until 1. On Monday will be 9/11, and there will be our usual really wonderful remembrance ceremony here in the front of City Hall at 9 a.m., which is always a very touching and impressive ceremony. On Monday afternoon, there's also the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce luncheon, and our own Fireman Chief Beeman will be the speaker. That's going to be at First United Methodist Church at 11:30. And after that, come on out to Charter Senior Living. They are having their 9/11 Day of Remembrance and Ice Cream Social, beginning at 1 o'clock and ending at 2:30. So there's a lot going on, and I'm sure that Paige will tell us about other things when she gets back. So now we're ready to go ahead and get started on our regular agenda with item number 1, which is public hearing on resolution number R230864. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Love. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 19.56 plus or minus acre portion of 2 parcels located south of West Albert Gallatin Avenue and west of Scott Drive, and a 0.77 plus or minus acre portion of West Albert Gallatin Avenue right-of-way, and providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak on this resolution, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, I'll declare a public hearing on Resolution R230864 is ended. And now we're ready for number 2, public hearing, Resolution number R230865. Councilman Carter.
This is a public hearing, a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, annexing a 19.56 plus or minus acre portion of 2 parcels located south of West Albert Gallatin Avenue and west of Scott Drive, and a 0.77 plus or minus acre portion of West Albert Gallatin Avenue into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annex property to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, assigning the annex area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. If anyone has anything they would like to say regarding this resolution, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, I'll declare public hearing on resolution number R230865 has ended. Number 3 on the agenda is second reading on ordinance number 0230428. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Councilman Love. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting Plan Gallatin, Purposeful and Planned Growth, the City of Gallatin Comprehensive Plan, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, Comp 2023-001. Also move.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilman Fan, a second from Councilwoman George. Is there any discussion? I will say that I was on the Planning Commission when this original plan was developed, and we put in a lot of hard hours. And I also missed the joint meeting between City Council and the Planning Commission, so I'll be abstaining. Oh, Mr. Juvance.
Thank you, ma'am. I've been following that Plan Gallatin from the start. Michelle and I have been attending meetings, talked to people, and there is few things who kind of bother me in that first, there was a lot of work put in and a lot of money. And I went through it again and again, and I picked up some things in it. The first thing I picked up on the start is it's according to the vision of its residents. The vision of its residents. When I hear all the comments we had today and for all these weeks, I don't think the vision we have on that plan is really applying to its residents. I got a copy of all the comments were made. I'm not going to go through every pages. There's plenty, but I highlighted plenty of words, and the majority of words are small town, feel friendly, current size, rural character, small town feeling, historic homes, and basically it's going on and on and on, but I don't see these comments in the Plan Gallatin. And that's from the community input. So that's the first thing. Another one is commitment to fiscal responsibility. And I think that's what we should care about more than anything else right now is fiscal responsibility. We took this year, the budget of the city took $3 million out of the reserve fund. I know we have money, that's why we can take it, but we still had to eat the reserve fund to get the budget rolling. The Plan Gallatin is an example of the city's commitment to fiscal responsibility. by thinking ahead, city leaders are able to anticipate and manage growth in a way that minimize, and that's the important part, that minimize the burden on local taxpayers and maintains quality level of service. All right, I'll get back to that later on because that's important. Property owners and developers should consult the plan regarding recommendation for land use and infrastructure investment. The plan provides guidance on desired forms, use, and character of development in and around town, and a description of related codes and ordinances that regulate land development. And all that to ensure Gallatin remains a desirable place to live for the years to come. We all love Gallatin. We all want the best for it. All the people who came here tonight, and I haven't heard anybody say they had Gallatin. They're here because they love Gallatin, like every one of us. But something is important in that plan is that we didn't do it just because. It's because it's a legal requirement. We have to do it. Title 13, Chapter 4 of the Tennessee Code annotated assigned to the Planning Commission the function and duty of preparing and adopting an official general plan for the physical development of the municipality. The law states that on the general plan is adopted by the council, all land use decisions in a city shall be consistent with the plan. And the important part here, and it's black and white, it's for the purpose of defined consistency. Only those elements of the plan related to land use decisions become effective pursuant to the guidance in Chapter 8 of these documents. All other sections of the plan are intended as a guide, only planning purpose. The Chapter 8 is the character area. So, if I may, Craig, you stated here that on Block 4, because that was a change was brought to the planning before coming back to us, you would only 2 homes per acres. But my question here is, how are we going to do that? If we approve that, if the character area, say suburban, 5 per acre, how are we going to do that? Because we know what happened. I saw that my second or third meeting when we voted against the apartment. The first thing the developer did is that he lawyered up and came back and say, my right is that. And that's what we're going to open here. That's a legal requirement. So how are we going to do that? I would like to hear it. No, I'm asking you. I know it's legal.
I'm not a legal person. We've already been through this.
Are you asking Susan? You're not asking Susan?
No, I already asked Susan at different meetings. She said we're going to have to obey for it because that's what is required. We heard a lot about keeping Gallatin the way it is. And I understand we need to grow, but again, if I read what's in the plan Gallatin, it said we're losing 38% of the agricultural land. We're losing 26% of non-agricultural open space, increasing traffic conversion, resulting in a 80% plus increase in the percentage of traveling that is done in congested area. Page 35, 85% of people say preservation of open space and natural beauty is the most important thing. 82% say protection of environment quality. preserving character, all right? We use the GNRC model. But again, if I look at the GNRC model we got used, there is a discrepancy there. On the GNRC model, there is 6 categories. The core of the city is set at 3,000 or plus people per square mile. And you get down all the way to 100 people per square mile. 100 people per square mile, that's not that much. But again, if we go to the suburban area, 5 units per acre, 2.6, you know, that's 15 people per acre. That's a lot more than 100 per square mile. And if I get to what the GNRC was showing to the center of Gallatin, we get a density with more than 3 times the population per square mile than New York City. Is that what we want? That's not. So I think there is an issue that needs to be revised. Even when I was at the planning, the Chairman Purrier said he would like to see more options than just, you know, rural, suburban, and full staff. We should have more layer. We can do that. That got sent to put layered. So I think that's need a lot of work.
Thank you. Craig?
Question. Susan, what was your answer to his question? He said he had asked you about that and talked about that.
I think the question I have been asked is if you have a certain character area, does the planning have to stick to that? It does, and we might ask Mr. McCord.
Well, I did ask Mr. McCord that, and he gave me an opposite answer on that.
Mr. McCord, what is tell us what the Lot 4 character area that is currently adopted by the Planning Commission. What is that character area?
That is suburban, allows up to 5 units per acre.
Up to is there a minimum?
There is a range that is identified in the plan. Doesn't obligate the city council to establish a zoning that is within that range, as we have all over the city. We have general urban in much of our city, and much of that area is developed or is scheduled to be developed at much lower densities.
So in the suburban character area, there are a number of different zoning options.
There are almost every zoning option is available.
And so would if Mr. Hayes, Councilman Hayes, or someone else said they want to see 2 to 3 units per acre, would that fit? Is there a zoning that would fit in the suburban area?
That would be consistent with the character area.
Okay.
So that was my question, I guess, because you and I talked about that. I even asked you that today. If we wanted to go in there and do something on that land, and we said, okay, yes, it cannot do more than 2 per acre or 1.5 per acre. How does that
I'll
come
have
into play?
control of the zoning regardless of the plan.
Do what now?
I'll have control of the zoning regardless of the plan. The
Do you
plan
just
is
have
an
to make sure-
advisory document as a guide that the infrastructure, water, sewer, utilities, drainage, roadways would have to be constructed consistent with the plan. So there would be, as development occurs, some of that infrastructure will be installed consistent with the development plans.
You just have to ensure that there is a zoning that fits in the suburban character area that would be with the zoning that you want to fit in that area. Mr. McCord has said that there is. He is the planning expert.
Do you have any other question?
I'm still not clear on that, but wait a minute.
As long as there is a zoning
Yeah.
that is consistent with what you're wanting that fits in the suburban character area, Mr. McCord says that there is, then yes, you can zone. You always have the right to zone what you want to zone it as. It does have to fit, if you're having suburban character area, it has to fit in that. But Mr. McCord is saying that it can go up to 5, but you don't, and you wouldn't have to do the maximum. You still can zone up to 5, but you don't have to do the maximum.
Question, could we go in there and say, okay, you can only do 1 per acre?
If you want to. we would point out policies in the plan that might not advise you to do so.
Without getting sued?
I can't answer that question. I don't think Susan can answer that question.
You can
Anybody
always
sue
get
anybody?
sued. You know the
Well, I
answer
know
to
that.
that. You
Yeah,
can always
yeah.
get sued. But you just have to ensure that you have a zoning that fits in that character area. And I don't know, I'll be honest, I'm not the planning expert, so I don't know what all zonings, but Mr. McCord is the planning expert. And if he says that there is a zone that is consistent with that character area, then yes, you should be able to do that.
I can guarantee our office would not recommend a zoning that would exceed the maximum density that's established by the character area. So if someone wanted to come in and zone a property to allow 10 units per acre, we would not recommend approval of that.
So the maximum for suburban character is 5, but is there a minimum? I mean,
It's a range that they
What is the
identify as
range?
3 to 5 generally, but anything that's below the 3 would be an acceptable type of development pattern.
Right.
It might not be the best. It might not be the best utility and use of lands to undervalue those properties, particularly where there's utilities available. There is an appropriate area for that. And most of our city right now, as far as residential zoning, is either agriculture or R40. That makes up close to 40% of the city's residential zoning. So we've got a lot of properties that are zoned for very low density residential, as well as the county that surrounds us.
Well, I was just thinking about that one zoning because, you know, everybody's heard me say that there's no way I would support 800 homes or 1,000 homes on that piece of property. So I just want to make sure that I'm not stepping in something and, you know.
But again, if we look at what's in the plan, if it's adopted, that the regulation we have to follow. I mean, it's
Well, it is, but he said, what he's saying is that we can go up to 5 units per acre. We
Up
still
to
can go a
5.
lot, we still can go less. We
to
can go
the
less than
limit.
3, we can go less than
And
2.
again, the question that how that's going to react. We know how it's going to react. And your question was right. Are we going to get sued? We will. I can assure you that if we go lower than that, if the developer can arrive, lawyer up and say, that's what the plan say, it's black and white.
But the plan doesn't give a specific zone. The plan gives the character area.
Yeah.
And so if you can, it has a maximum, sounds like there's not a minimum, sounds like it's typically 3 to 5. I just would like to ensure that there are zones in that character area that would be less than 3.
This is not a zoning hearing. I know y'all have seen that plan. It's not.
Well,
you're
right now,
adopting this
we're
plan.
not even talking about,
Not talking about that.
we're talking about Plan Gallatin and the amendment that was made to this plan dealing with the Lock 4 area, the change in the character area.
Right,
And so
It
I think
changed it
the-
from rural
to suburban.
Suburban. And
Yes.
prior to, the previous comp plan even had it for higher intensity development.
Correct.
But ask him your question again. What was it? That you want to make sure?
Make sure that there is a zoning that would fit in the suburban character area that would be less than 3. Is there a zone that fits in the suburban character?
We have several, many classifications, including planned master development, PRDs, which can provide smaller lot sizes but not higher densities, if that's what the developer wants to do. We have a lot of flexibility that will accommodate various development patterns.
Does it allow for R20?
Can allow for R20,
Okay. R40?
40,
Okay.
ag. That's
Okay.
Go.
All right. Thank you.
So again, I want to make sure we understand each other because that's important there, okay? You say we can do ag. Ag is 1 per acre. Suburban minimum, I
No, that's
think,
incorrect.
or 2 per acre.
2.5 acres per unit for ag. 2.5
2.5 unique per acre.
Half acres in an ag zone.
On ag zoning. So on R40,
40,000 square foot lot,
it's 1 per acre.
white, .92.
So if the plan Gallatin say on the suburban area that the minimum is 3, I think it's 2.5.
That's a range that's
paper.
given.
It's free, and we arrive, we say, we want R40, who's only 1 or 2 per acre. Are we gonna put that, say we can do that, because the Plan Gallatin character area said that suburban go from 2.5 to 5. If the zoning is lower than what the character area shows, we're gonna get sued.
I'm not going to answer that question because I can't.
It's on the plan. I read it before, so that's my concern. I agree with that's going to be developed, and we need to find the best way to do it, but I think we have a problem there because of that.
Anybody else have a question? Are we ready to vote? Okay, on second reading of ordinance number 0230428, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no.
No.
And one abstention. So this plan passes. Thank you. Now we're going to skip over and bring in number 9 and number 10. Number 9 is resolution number R230650. Councilman Fennell.
This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 235.509 plus or minus acre parcel, tax map 135 parcel 109.01, located east of Lock 4 Road and north of Peach Valley Road, and providing for an effective day. I'm going to motion this so we can open for discussion.
Second.
We have a motion for discussion from Councilman Fennell and a second from Councilman Hayes. All right, so let's discuss.
Boy, this is a hard decision, guys, and I hear each and every one of you out there, and I have read your emails, and I appreciate that. I think about 3 weeks ago, Councilman Javance asked Bob Goodall to come speak to us, and I thought it was a good thing. And Mr. Goodall was really touching off on impact fees and how, and the different ways we can achieve that. You know, this council would like to see, I think the majority of us like to see impact fees and do it in a way that we don't harm our commercial people from investing in the city of Gallatin. But, you know, that has to be blessed on a state level to give us permission to be able to do that. But another thing Mr. Goodall touched on was inventory of land in the city of Gallatin, what he means by how much land is left in the city of Gallatin to develop on, and what we could do to preserve it. So I thought I knew what answer Mr. Goodall was going to say, which, by the way, Mr. Goodall is a resident of Gallatin, a large developer, and lives in the city of Gallatin. Well, Mr. Goodall spoke up and said density is how we're going to save land in the city of Gallatin. And, you know, what he means is by getting a piece of land and putting a lot of people on it, it saves them from going out into the countryside. Now, I think I feel in my heart there are places in Gallatin that can handle density a lot better than other places. I don't think Lot 4 can handle the density. And I get it. And I know there's a plan that is floating around out there. And right now, I mean, how the plan is wrote, I do not support that plan. What my thinking of that area, that is a lake community. I do live on the lake. Miss Karen, I'm sorry I couldn't get her last name, but I appreciate that she's coming here talking about salamanders. You know, and I want to make sure they are protective along with the cemetery. I think that is part of our heritage. That's something we need to do, and I think everyone on this council will follow the same footsteps that we all think that. What I see that area as a walkable area. I see it to have sidewalks. I see it to have wide roads, traffic calming measures. I see landscaping. I see underground utilities. I see maybe a swimming pool with a community center. I see not just monkey bars in a swing set or a slide. I see a basketball court. I see pickleball. I see tennis courts, something that will go along with that area. My area that I live in is a real active community. It's very walkable. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people enjoy the lake. You're going to have something in that area that needs to coincide with the lake. I think the lake is our greatest unused asset in Gallatin. I think that area down Lock 4, you've got the park, you got the boat ramps, you got 3 different parks. I think I'm saying that right, Mr. Brown, correct? 3 different parks down that area. There's a lot of activities that go on down in that area. A lot of stuff I'm proud of. You've got the restaurant, you've got Lock 4 Marina. You know, when I go home in the evenings, I feel like that, I feel like I get a breath of fresh air. Now, I lived 20 years on a 500-acre farm. And believe me, I tried, and I bought a lot of pieces of land to stop the development, but I couldn't buy them all. And there's a lot of development up there now. If you go up there and look, to me, it looks like a nuclear bomb went off. And when I sold it, I could have chopped it up and sold it in a bunch of pieces, but I didn't. I sold it in 2 large tracts. But guess what? Those people that bought that, they redeveloped it and they blew it all to pieces. That's what I feel. So I'm real concerned about this area, something that you guys would be proud from. I'm not. You know, one gentleman spoke up and said something about a personal interest here. Yeah, I got personal interest. I live here with my wife, my son, my daughter, my 7 grandkids. We all live here in Gallatin. Not only that, but my wife's side of the family and even some of my side of the family, I was trying to count them. I think we got 75 people here. So I do not want to dirty our sandbox. This is where I live. It does concern me about the growth that we've got now, and I've slowed down. I see the townhouses. I see some of them. My dad's wanting to sell his house down in Indian Lake, and he's lived there since 1969, and I heard through my wife Sunday that he's looking at a townhouse up here in Gallatin, and, you know, I hope he does move up here. Gosh, we got a lot of people coming here, and I think the people that are coming here, they're not coming here because we're a bad area. They're coming here, I think we got a lot to offer. We also have got people coming from, California, Chicago, Pennsylvania. There's a reason why they're leaving them states, you know. This is a hard decision. I don't know what more that I can really say. Here's what I think, and I have really thought about this, believe me. When I was even in the hospital with my wife and my leg and couldn't show up for the meetings, and thank God they got to defer it until I could come here and speak because I'm passionate about it. I thought about this. We have different readings, first reading, second reading. That's if people changes their mind. I have been a county commissioner. I have served on the planning commission as vice chairman. I've done 4 years. I know what kind of product that can happen in the county. I lived in the county. I seen and I tried to fight things. Really thinking about this, if we annex it, I feel that we have control over it. I will not vote for 800-something houses on that piece of land. I'm more in line with what Craig said, 2 houses, maybe less. I don't know what kind of plan that'll come back up, but we have control over that piece of land. I certainly feel that way. I feel that we'll have the services for the fire department, the police department. People talk about our utilities. I'm kind of proud of our utilities. I think we do a good job. And another thing too, they touched off on the police department. To tonight being understaffed. And yes, we are understaffed, but I think a lot of that problem, I think we might straighten that out here or hope to try to straighten that out here in the next several meetings. And that I won't get into right now. I tried to write some notes down, and I think I have covered a lot of things. One thing I want to say to Ms. Simpson is my neighborhood, I walked around it, and this has been several years back, and we had a pump station there that did develop some unpleasant odors. But if you can get together with Mr. Kellogg, he went out to the neighborhood, and he was able to put in some type of filtration system that I can tell when the filter gets stopped up or when it's flowing, just that point of interest. But I hope I helped you guys, and really I want something that we can put over there. Not everybody's going to agree on everything that we do, but I feel, in my heart, I feel that if we don't take a chance to annex this, then we might lose the chance. I think that we can definitely be a better product here in Gallatin. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Anybody else like to weigh in? Mr. Javance?
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate all the comments. I just disagree with if we don't do it now, we won't have a chance to do it because I think we have time.
I felt that way too, but I do believe that this land is destined to be developed.
I agree with that. That land will be developed. Should we do it now? I think now. I don't think now is the time. You know, I write a lot of things, and because getting old, you know. The top of my page right now is how can we move forward when we are already behind? Okay? The issue I have is not, yeah, I have issue with the 800 houses because I don't think they fit there. But the issue I have is with the strand we're going to put to everybody. We talk a lot right now to work with the county, okay? Cities need to work with the county. If I turn my head, I think I see 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 county commissioners in a room. So, and I appreciate them to be here. The same way that I go to their meeting because I think it's important. But we talked about the schools, okay? I got the latest number as a director of school to send them to me, and lady came here and said, we're almost at capacity at Gallatin High. We are at capacity this year. We're not almost. We are on the top. The year number are 1,698 students. The capacity of Gallatin High, the core capacity is 1,200, and the classroom capacity is 1,700.
Are you saying the cafeteria? Capacity.
Capacity.
I'm sorry, Pastor.
Yeah, I know my southern accent, you know. But 1,698, that's 1,700. I mean, we are 2 students to be full maxed out. Liberty Creek High went up 200 students this year. So they went from 30% to 50% capacity. We're growing fast. We had a county commissioner who said, there is no plan to build more schools. So what are we going to do if there are no plans to build more schools? And I'm pretty sure there are no plans because I asked a solution to the director of school and I got no answer because there is no answer except spending money to buy another one where Liberty Creek is not even finished yet. The sewer, the last time I heard, was not still had issue with the sewer. They were still trucking stuff out every day. And again, if I'm looking at the plan of service, you talk about the police, and Chief is hiding back there. But, I talked to Chief, and it's not his fault. It's the society we live right now, where being a police officer is not a desirable job like that was even 10 years ago. And like you said, we're going to try to fix that, and I agree with that. But you all got the email today from Chief. You know how much police were short. And there was a quote from a citizen who said, that's going to impact the safety of all and the officers. We should not forget our guys, because, you know what it is. You have a business, so you don't have hours. You know how it is when you get tired and you wake up in the morning and you have to go to work and you're tired and you don't think straight. And we're going to arrive there where we put our guys' safety in jeopardy because they work more, they get tired, and it's on not just there. It's utility district we're short. It's planning we're short. They have 2 job opening in plannings. And I know even with that, they're short because they have more and more staff coming in front of them. So I don't think it's the right time to do it. And, maybe next year it's a better time. And I know it's going to be developed, and all the people who are here are reasonable. They're not against growth. They're against that type of growth who doesn't fit there. But again, if we annex, we open ourselves to what's coming after, because we know, developer going to arrive, ask for a zoning, and if we don't get the zoning, they're going to come back and fire at us. And they're going to find a loophole where we're going to receive a letter saying, if you don't give me what's on the plan, I'm going to come back legal on you, and that's going to happen because they're there to make money, and I understand that. And the 2 per acre, we need to put our head out of the sand. They would not go for 2 per acre because they can't afford it. You know how much the land goes for. I got a text 2 days ago. That's what they do. They go knock on doors. I got a text, hey, I want to buy your property. They go knock on doors to every piece of land they can find, and right now they offer $120K per acre. $120K per acre, they cannot do 2 per acre because they're not going to make money, and they have to make money, and I understand that. So I think the plan of service doesn't work right now because utilities, we talk about, utilities are here, and we're great utilities. Electricity is going to be there, great. But that road doesn't work for that. And it's not new. One of citizens sent us that. You probably read it, I suppose. I read it. It's from 2007, and that was paid by the city of Gallatin. So that was not a developer who did it. And already in there, they say Lock 4 Road is substandard and can't get more. It's in the plan Gallatin. It's actually black and white on the Gallatin on the move. Okay? Lock 4 Road. Widen Lock 4 Road between Nashville Park and Lock 4 Park to allow for safer turning movement and to better accommodate bicycles and pedestrians. An advanced planning report has been completed, and preliminary engineering is expected to be complete in the summer of 2009 for the section between Nichols Land and Lock 4. The project is currently being funded by the city. So we have safety issues. We need to stop stretching our city and stretching our employees because, we need our employees and our citizens to do what's the right thing. And I'm here for that. I'm here to listen to them. I'm here to listen to what we need. We don't need that right now. And if they want to build in a county where I don't think they will do it because, like I said, with the price they're going to pay for the land, they're not going to go for 1 acre. They will wait, and they will come back, and maybe next year it's a better time to look at it. But I don't think right now we can afford it. That's the way I think.
I understand where you're coming from. People, can you hear me? Is my mic on?
Yeah.
The people I know want to sell, they want to cash out of this farm, and one way or the other, that farm will be developed. I'm just pointing out, in the county, I don't think you're going to have all the amenities and what we ask for here in the city of Gallatin. Gravel driveway, overhead utilities. I mean, there's a lot, flag lots. I think they've adjusted some of that. The commissioners that are here, I hear them, and they're not against growth. They're just making sure that if we do something here, we put in the right thing. My vote is going to try to be put something in that will go along with the citizens and what they want versus the county where they can develop it as it stands. That's just my opinion, Pascal. As far as the police goes, I hope that we can come up with something to, I think the pay is our biggest issue with the police department. I mean, $22 versus $26 in Hendersonville, you're going to go to Hendersonville. I hope we can correct that. Try to. Anybody else want to add anything out there?
I'd like to say that if it stays in the county, they will not have police or fire services, and it will not be serviced, anything to do with the city. So anybody that's out there will have to wait on county, and that could take a whole lot longer than anything in the city.
This is the first reading. We'll have another reading, right?
No.
No, this is.
No, there is no reading, only one. But I disagree with that. County has fire, police support, sheriff. They will have fire support the same way than we all have. So that's fear mongering. People in the county have services. And maybe I have more faith in the county than you guys have because I talk a lot with these people. I have a long conversation with Commissioner Klein. And, you know, what they're trying to do in the county right now, it's good. And I'm pretty sure they won't let that piece of property being developed, I'm going to say trash, it's not the right word, sometimes my English, you know. But
Well, they got different rights to be able to develop in the county than what we'll prescribe here.
Exactly.
Steve, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm listening to Mr. Jovance, and he says this is not the right time. I don't think anybody's going to know what the right time is, but I would like to hear what your suggestion would be for the right time.
I think I was having a question, so don't put the carriage before the horses. I think we need first to improve Log 4, a way or another, see if we can improve it. There is staff in that who show how to improve it, and make sure we have a good structured plan before we develop something.
I'm going to differ with you a little bit on that. I think if you want Lot 4 improved, you're going to have to add development because it's going to put more pressure on whoever to do it. Do you want to pay taxes for it before it happens?
Right now, there is no plan, okay, for Log 4. There is nothing except, you know, I heard the developer coming and say, we're going to put, you know, one turn lane there and we're going to put a signal down there. I would like to see something concrete. before saying it's going to be a good plan. But what I know right now is that with what's proposed, and again, we're not voting on rezoning, but we're voting on what the plan was presented to us as a template. I don't think with that plan, that's going to work.
I don't think anybody's going to vote for that plan that's
No,
floating
we're not
around.
talking
Not
about
voting
the
on the
plan,
plan.
we're just talking about annexation.
I know that, but
You just
again,
said,
I've been coming to this council for years and years now, and every time a plan is proposed and an annexation comes through, the plan comes through. All right, that's my own experience sitting back there, watching what's happening. So my concern is that with Plan Gallatin the way it is, okay, because you know, as I do, that they're quick to have a nice, expensive lawyers and letters on things, the way it is, and again, it's a legal garbage right there. If we annex and they arrive with a zoning who, like the planner said, was part of Plan Gallatin, well, if we refuse it, they're going to come after us.
Sounds like a lot of projection here.
I think Susan has something to weigh in with.
Councilman Javance, I just wanted to let you know, I did look through, since this was just past Plan Gallatin, and for suburban, it does show on the low end, 2 to 3 homes or units per acre. So there is a low end, so it doesn't start at 3, it does start at 2, according to what was just passed, 2 per acre. And that is recommended. It doesn't say required, it does say recommended.
Steve?
So there's a low, mid, and a high.
Just for the record, for the audience, I suggested turning it into a park, And I would still back that 100%.
Two.
But after I made that suggestion, I heard one person got back to me supporting the park. And so I let it drop. Now, we're talking about growth, and people have gotten up here and talked about needing labor, employees and all. Who's to say if this is approved that some of these people moving in might want to be a policeman?
Might want what, Steve?
Want to be a policeman.
Oh.
If we got people moving in, and as I look over this audience, I don't see very many people that I consider young. And the future is for what the people want in the future. We need to think about what the city's going to be about 5, 10, 20 years from now. And we need to make sure if we do develop, it is a good development for the future. If we didn't build another house in Gallatin, it wouldn't bother me, but it'd be the wrong thing to do. When I came to Gallatin 50 years ago now, it'll be November this year, the population was 11 or 12,000. I loved it then, I love it now.
Is there anybody else who wants to say anything? Right now, our motion is for discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilwoman George, a second from Councilman Hayes. Is there any other discussion?
We're talking about the plan of service right now.
Number 9.
I can't. Just a plan of service, like I said, the plan of service shows us exactly how many police officers we're supposed to have. Say additional police officers and departmental vehicles will be needed to provide
It's
service to.
annexation,
No, we're talking about the plan of service, ma'am.
still annexation.
Are we ready to call for the vote? All in-
I got cut off, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. If I look at the plan of service cannot be done the way we are right now. We cannot add more police because we're short. We cannot have more services because we're short. So we should not approve a plan of service who's not complete before we even start. So we need to catch up on everything, and when we catch up, we can revisit and go again with it. But I think right now, we're already behind, so that's just going to add more burden, and we should not. That's my.
At what point would you consider us caught up?
When all the jobs in the city are fulfilled, when we have all our emergency services we're supposed to have right now fulfilled, and when we can move forward. But right now, we're not even where we're supposed to be today. We're less than what we were 10 years ago. So that can't work. That can't work. We're going to have an issue.
All right, are we ready? Okay, number 9, all in favor of Resolution R230650, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, I think that was 2 noes.
Can we get roll call, please?
5 yeses and 2 noes, I believe. Right, number, did you need it?
Who were the 2 noes?
Oh,
Okay.
Number 10 is resolution number R230651. Councilman Fennell.
This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, annexing 235 acre .509 plus or minus acre parcel, tax map 135, parcel 109.01, located east of Lot 4 and north of Peach Valley Road into the City of Gallatin, authorizing an annexed property to be indicated on official zoning atlas, assigning the annex area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
second.
We have a motion from Councilman Fennell, a second from Councilwoman George. Any discussion?
One thing I do want to say is back years, well, first of all, I've been here in Gallatin running a business on my 40th anniversary, which is now, and I've seen Gallatin grow from the beginning. There's a lot that I remember about Gallatin that over a period of time, it's always grown, and some of that is sad that you see some changes in Gallatin, but I see a lot of positive things also. Councilman Overton, for a long period of time, always stressed that we needed to put sidewalks down Lock 4 Road. And I hope that we can get there one day and put sidewalks down in that area. It's something that needs to be done.
Agreed.
I believe this has been a really difficult decision for all of us, and I think that for you all who have come and spoken before us, it's good to get your feelings out and let us know how you feel, and we appreciate all of your concern and all that you've done. Are we ready for the vote? Councilman Jones.
Yes, ma'am. Me again. Just want to add one thing. I already said everything I have to say, except another concern I had about the grave and the cemeteries. Because even if we say that's going to be protected, you all know why I'm here. I got involved when Kensington Downs started on the back of my property. And we have an historical house, okay, built in the 1800s. And I have to say that the blasting was probably 1,000 feet away.
I'm sorry, could I ask that everyone please listen quietly so that we can hear?
The blasting happened 1,000 feet away, did a lot of damage on our historical home, including breaking windows. We even had seismometer put there, and by the developer, and huge blast. asked to see the seismometer, and suddenly it disappeared from the property. So my concern on that is that when they're going to start blasting, because they're going to blast like crazy back there, that's going to destroy the graves and the cemetery. That's going to be destroyed. And there is nothing we can do about it because we have no control on blasting to state staff. And trust me, we have no control on it. Okay, we went all the way staff. So that on top of everything, I have a concern with that.
I would only answer with that by saying that is a lot of building going on and a lot of cemeteries, and I don't think that all of the cemeteries are being destroyed by that. Councilman Carter.
And I also want to say that, not to say that the blasting won't affect the cemetery there, but this cemetery that everyone is speaking of is not on the green farm. It's not a part of the land that we're talking about annexing. It's on private property, on someone else's property, and so it's not on the farm.
Thank you.
And it is already in a great state of disrepair.
Dan? All right, are we ready for this vote?
Yes.
This is resolution number R230651. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Any abstentions? Okay, I believe it passed 5-2 again. Now we are going to go back to number 4 on our agenda. This is second reading of ordinance number 0230-844. Okay. Been asked to wait until the room clears so we can hear. This is an ordinance waiving land disturbance fees and surety requirements for Music City Executive Airport. I so move.
Second.
May I have a motion by myself and a second from Councilman Carter. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Number 5.
I was going to say that I'm on the board, so I want to make it clear.
Number 5 is second reading on ordinance number 0230-845. Councilman Juvance.
Ordinance to vacate right-of-way of .19 plus or minus acre segment of Freedom Church Road located south of Grandstand Boulevard and west of Greenleaf Boulevard. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Juvance and a second from Councilman Carter. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We are deferring number 6 and going down to number 7. This is first reading on ordinance number 0230-847. Councilman Hayes.
It's an ordinance appropriating $11,500 in donations from American Kennel Club and Nashville Kennel Club for Police K-9. Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Hayes, a second from Councilman Carter. I think that this will be a happy motion. Any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. On to number 8, first reading on ordinance number 0230-848. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating funds in the amount of $112,721.13 for storm damage repairs. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilwoman George, a second from Councilman Hayes. All in favor, or is there any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Now we'll go down to number 11, resolution number R230864. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Love. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 19.56 plus or minus acre portion of 2 parcels located south of West Albert Gallatin Avenue and west of Scott Drive and a 0.77 plus or minus acre portion of West Albert Gallatin Avenue right-of-way and providing for an effective date. I so move.
I have a motion from Councilman Carter, a second from Councilman Hayes. Any discussion? Councilman Juvance?
Yeah, I would like to make the motion to postpone to the next meeting because I don't think we should be voted. I don't think it's right to vote on a resolution the same meeting we have public hearings. That's just the way I think.
Is this, what's his name? Land, nursery.
This is Holland's property. This
Okay.
is the issue where
Okay.
they thought everything was in the city and they've been paying taxes since the 60s or
A
70s
mistake.
on it. Yes, it was a
Cleaning it up.
mistake from the time it was annexed in, yes.
We already have a motion to approve in a second.
Second, yeah.
So what should we do about it?
Well, I believe Mr. Javance has had a motion to defer, and so if there's a second to that, then that would take precedence.
Okay. Is there a second? Back to the original motion to approve. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No?
That was 6 ayes and 1 no. Motion passes. Number 12, resolution number R230865, Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Love. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, annexing a 19.56 acre portion of 2 parcels located south of West Albert Gallatin Avenue and west of Scott Drive in a 0.77 plus or minus acre portion of West Albert Gallatin into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annex property to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, assigning the annex area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Carter and a second from Councilman Hayes. Is there any discussion on number 12? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No?
Okay, we have 6 ayes and 1 no. So motion passes. Number 13, this is resolution number R230868. Councilman Fennell.
This is a resolution authorizing the Gallatin Police Department to accept the state law enforcement hiring, training, and recruitment program grant. Motion to approve.
Second.
Right, we have a motion from Councilman Fennell, a second from Councilwoman George. Any discussion on this one? Oh, we can cheer for this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Number 14, resolution number R2308-72, Councilman Hayes.
It's a resolution appointing James Hodges as a member of the Gallatin Economic Development Agency Board. Motion to approve.
Second?
The motion from Councilman Hayes and a second from Councilman Juvance. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously. Number 15, this is resolution number R23068-73. This is a resolution authorizing the Gallatin Police Department to accept the Keep Tennessee Beautiful Law Enforcement Grant. I so move.
Second.
And may I just say, I believe there's a typo. It should be resolution R2308. There should not be a 6 on there, -73. I just wanted to correct that before you vote on it.
Thank you. Is there any, let's see, well, there's a motion by me and a second, I've forgotten who.
Second.
Councilman Juvance. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously, which brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Does anyone have other business? Councilman Fennell.
Was he here? Nick? Craig, I was going to bring this up to you, but I apologize. I forgot about it, but I hope you agree with me. When you go down Browns Lane, Nick, and you get to the end of it where you're coming into Gracie Lake, now, if you remember, we have a place called The Pick. And that's where they have a bar, what do you call that?
Simulator.
Tennis,
Training facility.
training facility. What do you call that new game they're playing? Pickleball. Cars are flying down that street, and I'm having a lot of complaints. And I know for a fact there's a house there that got turned down on 2 contracts because of the speed coming through there. And I'm not saying anything about the police department, but you got that S curve and it's coming. Then also come out of Gracie Lake, you got going across the street, that other neighborhood right there. I have been concerned for years. I travel that every day going back through there. And back before it got really busy, they were still having golf lessons there. And I did watch a kid and his dad come across the street and a car slammed on its brakes. I really think there needs to be some type of traffic calming measure there. Matt Harris gave a great idea to me today on the phone. What about the possibility maybe of a 4-way stop right there at Gracie Lake at that intersection? That might serve purposes right there. We need something to slow down that area. They was unloading sod today, and you know, I seen somebody standing out there up above the sod area trying to slow the cars down from going around that curve.
Yeah.
Will you please look at that? Am I right, Craig or Susan?
Yeah, but doing a four-way stop there, I don't know if it'd be tough to do because you're coming out of a gated community, you know?
Right.
Gracie Lake.
There's not a lot of traffic, I don't think, that pulls
I
up
think,
there.
I think if you do something down there more at the crosswalk,
That's what I think there is a crosswalk at that parking lot, isn't there?
but the crosswalk is kind of,
It's right at the back end of that S-curve.
everybody goes across at the parking lot instead of the crosswalk.
Say, you know, Browns Lane,
We'll
what
look
I'm
into
reading
it
from a
further
text,
and-
that they propose creating a 4-way stop to Gracie Lake and rumble strips with speed limit signs in
Yeah.
the blind curve before the entrance of Fairview. That
I've
comes
had
just now.
some recent conversations with a member of the HOA for
Yeah.
Fairview Plantation right there.
So you're on it.
Well, not this particular request. He brought up a lot of things, and we were looking at a couple different things. So I don't know if there was something that the homeowners association has mentioned there, but I haven't heard anything about that. But I would like to have the homeowners association be part of the conversation of whatever the solution is.
One thing I'd like to point out to you too, I can tell something's been done to the traffic lights. I understand about how some citizens are stacking on these side roads a little bit, and a little bit more time, but once they get on the main road, it seems like the traffic is flowing
Yes, sir.
better on the main road. I mean, I travel that multiple times a
I
day.
appreciate you making that statement. I believe that is true and accurate, and I hope that's what people are experiencing. I know that there is a little bit more wait time on those side streets, but once you get out onto the main road, you're making it through 4 or 5 intersections at a time, as opposed to getting stopped at
My
every one
experience, too.
along Nashville Pike. And so we're still making sure that is the case and observing that and documenting it. And we'll have a report actually to present to you about the effectiveness of what we were able to do with that CMAQ grant. So, but I've got you on your traffic calming request, and we'll look into it, and I'll be getting back with you.
Thank you, Nick.
Nick, I'd like to make a suggestion that maybe you look into maybe even a red light at the end of Nichols Lane and Lot 4. People complain they can't get out of the street. I think if we caused them to hesitate on Lot 4, it would alleviate a lot of that problem.
Yeah,
Not be possible, it's just something-
right. I'm sure that it won't warrant a traffic signal. I know the preliminary traffic study that was done for the Banks development that you guys have referenced tonight when talking about the annexation, talked about a roundabout intersection, which I think will be very difficult to incorporate, but I think that would be a great solution at that intersection. I just don't know how it could be built, so we want to look at that further. But I think a traffic signal it's just not going to meet warrants. I do understand the concern.
And you have to stop coming out of Nichols, but Lot 4's got a free shot.
Right. And I know most of you all remember once upon a time, you didn't have an all-way stop at Lock 4 and Hancock Street. And it got to the point that you needed to make it an all-way stop. I don't think that Nichols Lane and Lock Forest to that point yet, but I do think it's something that we're going to have to look at in the future if growth does occur in the area, so.
I have noticed if you come through about 4 o'clock in the morning, you can make all those lights.
I rarely ever would be doing that, but I would like to throw in there Hartsville Pike at East Main, because I've seen that it's getting worse and worse too, as far as people turning right there at the triangle.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and actually, the development that is probably going to have the room full again here in a couple of weeks out there on East Main Street, we're having them look at that particular intersection. And, you know, years ago, we talked about some other types of intersections, roundabouts, and other improvements there. So it's good that we're able to continue to look at these and see if there are better solutions as we move along. So
Right, we have several spots.
How about Gallatin?
Carrollton? It's on the list. I know that I mentioned that we are having a traffic consultant take a look at 7 different locations. I can give you a report or an update at our department head report next week to give you what those 7 are, but Carrollton is one of those.
Thank you, sir.
Stephen?
Them last week and introduced some of those projects, and looking forward to some feedback from those professionals.
I have a couple of things. One thing, Nick, I have been asked, and I have been asked to see if the city can put a stop sign at the corner of Hill Street and Maple Street when you're turning off of West Eastland. But I can get with you later to talk more about that. And
Okay.
and then the second thing, for those of you who do know and have checked on me and my family, I do appreciate it. And I ask that you guys keep me and my family in your prayers. I have a sick cousin and a very sick aunt, and it's been a very rough last 2 days for us.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah, we're sorry to hear that. Didn't know that. Anybody have anything else for Nick? Thank you. Okay, Councilman Juvance.
Thank you, ma'am. Susan, please, where are we standing with the street ordinance?
We will have a discussion on the agenda for the next work session.
Thank you, ma'am. And I would like to, because we voted on it now, so to send Plan Gallatin back to the planning to look at several overlays, one near the historic district and one around Lock 4 to look at limiting what kind of zoning we could put in this area. So I would like to send that to the planning. I will work with the planner to figure it out and see what the planning says.
Are you wanting to put that on the agenda next week for discussion?
No, just send it to the planning.
Well, that would take this body doing that.
That's not how that was done last time.
I think the body voted to send it back.
No, it was not.
Are you talking about when we first?
You just want to change it.
Just want to make revisions to Plan Gallatin.
I thought we did send that back after discussion.
Yeah, we did.
There was
Put
no
back on
vote.
certain items. I think there are additional items that Councilman Jovance would like to see some overlays added.
So I feel like we voted on that, though.
No, it did not. There was no vote at all.
I would suggest that you vote to do that. I thought that it had happened before.
Councilman Overton sent it, and that was sent without vote, so that was done
Well,
without
I would
vote.
recommend that the body make some type of an agreement, that it be sent back for further research.
I kind of don't, but.
Bill?
Previous discussions about the comp plan, the council had not adopted the plan as policy. So those discussions previously that went back to the planning commission were not a document that the council had adopted. So now they have adopted. I think the appropriate thing is if you want to have the planning commission consider amendments to whatever part of the plan, that you vote as a body to send it back to the planning commission for some.
And I really think it probably should be on an agenda so that there can be
All
a
right, so-
full discussion.
I would like to put that on the next work session to talk about overlays, please.
That makes sense, Bill,
Is that a
thank you.
motion?
Yes, sir.
The motion.
A motion to put it on the agenda. Do we have a second?
Is this for the work session?
Yes, to put it on the work session.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I think that was 4-3 of no.
I don't know who they are. I don't know who the four.
I seconded Pascal's.
Right, I got that. I know the vote.
Okay, do you want to do a count?
Oh, my gosh.
Do you want to?
Like a roll call vote?
Yes, please.
Okay. Vice Mayor Love,
Yes.
Councilman Carter,
No.
Councilman Fan,
No.
Councilman Fennell,
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
No.
Councilman Hayes,
No.
Councilman Juvance.
Yes.
It fails 4-3.
Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Is there any other old business? Here comes Richard the priest.
I had the Preservation Foundation of Sumner County reach out to me. They are having their third annual event at the Comer Barn on September 16th, fundraising event, and they have requested trash cans and temporary fencing for their event. So they asked if I would bring it in front of y'all tonight to get approval or not.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion from Councilman Fennell, second from Councilman Carter. Is there any discussion about this? So it's some trash pickup and temporary fencing.
Fencing, yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right,
Thank you.
unanimous. Any other business, Oh, okay. Next, we have public recognition on non-agenda related items. If you have anything you would like to speak about on non-related agenda items,
They'd wait a long time.
yes, come forward.
Kim Baker, 366 Woodlands Drive, but I am here tonight on behalf of the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce. If you remember, I came before you a few months ago to request support and then road closures for the Gallatin Farm to Table Dinner. It's a third annual event coming up on Saturday, September 23rd. I have already been before the beer board. They approved us serving beer. But what I failed to do at that time, and why I'm here tonight, is ask your permission to also serve wine. In order to obtain the proper permit from the state to legally serve wine, I have to have your permission to do so. So would you allow me to serve wine at our farm to table event?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Fennell, a second from Councilwoman George. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. So that's unanimous.
Thank you. I figured while I was also here, though, and I know we've been here a long time, but I have some good news to share at the end of the night. The first thing I'll share is a text message that the chamber received over the weekend. We actually can receive text. And it came in on Sunday night in regards to the Stoll event. And so it says, super impressed on how Gallatin rallied for the Stoll Air Show. As a lifelong aviator, I can tell you Gallatin scored huge points with Stoll. You love on them, and they will grow this thing year after year after year. It has the potential to become absolutely huge. So huge that local hotels will sell out. This was a phenomenal event for being the inaugural event. Congratulations on the way that Gallatin handled all of this. So thank you for your support of this event, and thank you to everybody that helped make it successful. I also did see some negative folks on social media that thought it was bad for the local airways, and I can say that I live very close to the airport and we weren't affected or impacted at all. So I think it was great. The last thing I'll share tonight is you mentioned, Councilman Love, that there were some Boy Scouts from Troop 407 and some Girl Scouts from Troop 4007. They're the Bond girls. They have since left, and I do appreciate you all demonstrating them what civility looks like. I can't say the same about everyone in the audience. There were some profanity I heard, so I hope those little ears didn't hear all of that. But part of their assignment leading up to this event was to make a presentation on what they think Gallatin is unique, what they think is unique about Gallatin. I have had the big role to fill over the past couple years to teach that merit badge. Jim Hawkins taught it for many years. And so when he passed away, they asked me to come, and I kind of wanted to say no because I knew I could never live up to the same thing he did. But Mayor and I actually have done it a couple times together, and we went 2 weeks ago, and she talked to them about the structure of the city government and helped them understand city, state, county. We have a chart and explains it. And then the second week, I have them come back, and we spend the whole time presenting on what makes Gallatin unique. So they shared all kinds of things. They talked about infrastructure, and these are kids ranging from maybe like 12 to 17. They talked about infrastructure. They talked about roads and water. They talked about diversity and housing options, which I thought was really interesting, and I wish so many of them could have been here tonight because so many things that they want are not the same things that I want and you want and other people in the room. They want different things, and they noticed that Gallatin has that. They talked about parks. They talked about how well David and his team maintain those. They talked about how clean our community was, and they referenced places they had been that were dirty and they didn't want to go back to. 3 of them had written presentations. Several of them had slideshows. One little fella hand wrote, his name was Micah. He wrote about Meta. And you know he doesn't use Meta, he doesn't use Facebook. But I thought at the end of what he wrote was really neat. He said, in my opinion, I think that this will be an economical boom for Gallatin by creating more jobs for people so more people can work and get enough money to pay for their needs. He also made mention of the way they support community. And so I thought that was interesting that he noticed that. Another girl wrote, her name was Lila, she wrote about the Gallatin Square. She talked about the music events, the library, the ice cream establishments, and other places she liked to go. My favorite, and I think I can pick a favorite because they're not like my children, but his name was Sonny, and he said, what makes Gallatin unique? What makes Gallatin unique is its style. All of the local businesses make it a great place to live in. Everywhere you go, you see people you know, and there are lots of different activities to choose from. You could go to Triple Creek Park, or you could eat at one of the different local restaurants. Gallatin still has all 4 sides of its square, which lots of other towns don't have. There are many historical sites, including Rosemont, Stonewall, and the Sumner County Museum, also Trousdale Place. Each of them tell about the history of Gallatin. In the spring and fall, there are 2 Square Fests held on the square. The most important aspect of Gallatin, though, is its citizens. All the local businesses and the projects wouldn't be the same without the people working every day to make our town a better place. I asked them after they shared these if I could bring them, because I know we often hear a lot of negative. We read that online, and we don't see positive things shared quite often. And that's for everything, what happens here, what happens in our world. And so I thought that I would share these positive things about the future that we are indeed building this community for. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Kim.
That was so nice.
Thank you for helping to foster a love of Gallatin and citizenship in these kids today, too. Thank you.
Bishop Michael Clark, 923 Southwestland Avenue. I'll make this very brief because I know we have been here a long time. But I was always taught when someone does something for you or give you something to say thank you. I was blessed with the proclamation that was given to me on my 26th pastoral anniversary from Mayor Brown and this council and Councilwoman George and Councilwoman Love being with me on Saturday. I was never thought 4.5 years ago when I was in ICU fighting for my life, getting ready to go on dialysis in 2 weeks from there, that I would have a day devoted to me. I don't think nobody celebrates September 2nd with me. But anyway, I just want to say I appreciate you. I also appreciate, I've been here 43 and a half years, and this council and those, I've been coming to these meetings since the late 90s, have literally been able to capture and keep the hometown feeling, no matter how great the population is. We still have the spirit of Gallatin. And coming from Brooklyn, New York, I was definitely an alien and a foreigner and was called a Yankee for the first time in my entire life. And, but we take our differences, we take our culture, and we blend in. And coming from New York, I don't know if would be a small town. I know we don't think this is a small town. Compared to New York, it's still a small town that I would rather not be anywhere else but here. God bless you all.
And we're glad you're here, Bishop.
Yes.
Thank you for all you do. Is there anyone else who might want to speak?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. We haven't even moved in that time.
You need it back.